board will hear one hearing today. Hearing number 8196 is a conditional use revocation hearing regarding 5400 Partridge. During the hearing today, your testimony is being recorded. As you come forward to testify, please state your name and address and be sworn in. As you testify, please direct your comments to the board, not to anyone in the audience. Members of the audience are asked to remain silent and not close to witnesses. During your testimony, members of the board may have questions for you. Following the hearings today, the board will proceed with its regular agenda. Following the conclusion of the agenda, the board will deliberate and vote on the hearing. The board will notify the permit holder of its decision by mail. Hearing number 8196 is being conducted pursuant to Section 26.100.030 of the Revised Code of the City of St. Louis. The purpose of this hearing is to determine whether the conditional use permit issued to Shark and Deli CO Abed Ahmed to occupy 5400 Partridge as a convenience store and carry-out restaurant with no liquor or cooking, subject to certain conditions, should be revoked. The conditional use permit is numbered as 122542. The conditions in question are condition numbers 5 and 6, which read as follows. Condition 5. There should be no sale of items that can be used or intended for the use of drug paraphernalia as defined in Ordinance 68404 or its successor ordinances, including but not limited to the following: food scales, glass tubes, disposable lighters with pop-off tops, steel scrubbing pads and screens, rolling papers, ephedrine or pseudoephedrine, diet supplements, sleep aids, bath salts, or other substitutes for illegal drugs. In addition, there shall be no sale of cigars or cigarillos commonly used or adapted for the use involving a controlled substance, examples of which include but are not limited to the following: Phillies, Dutch Masters, White Owl, Swisher Sweets, Splitterillos, Backwoods, Optimo, Garcia and Vega, and Game. Condition 6. There should be no loitering, for which the applicant must post a no loitering sign and enforce it. The board has in its possession the following documents which are being introduced into evidence. Item 1. A certified copy of Section 26.100.030 of the Zoning Code of the City of St. Louis. Item 2. The conditional permit number 122542 issued to Shark and Deli Abed Ahmed to occupy 5400 Partridge as a convenience store and carry-out restaurant store, no liquor or cooking, subject to certain conditions. Item 3. A letter dated December 23, 2016, sent to Shark and Deli CO Abed Ahmed from the zoning inspector warning of the violation of the condition numbered 5 and 6 that were found upon a recent site inspection and the potential for a revocation hearing should the violations not be corrected within 30 days of the date of the letter. Item 4. A memorandum from the zoning inspector to the zoning administrator stating that upon her reinvestigation performed on January 31st, 2017, the zoning inspector still found violations of conditions numbered 6 of the conditional use permit. Public notice, item 5, public notices for today's hearings, and item 6, a certified copy dated March 21st, 2017, sent to the conditional use permit holder from the board secretary providing notice of today's hearing. The Office of the Zoning Administrator has the burden to prove the conditional use permit conditions have not been complied with. After all evidence of the Zoning Administrator has been presented, the board will ask for additional testimony, if any, in support of the revocation. Then the conditional use holder will be given the opportunity to present evidence. Lastly, the board will hear other testimony in opposition to the revocation, if any. At this time, the board asks a representative of the Office of the Zoning Administrator to please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you state your name for the board, please?
I am Myra Turner, Zoning Inspector for the City of St. Louis.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you please tell the board about your investigations?
Okay. Upon my reinvestigation today, Number 5 is still in violation with the cigars. And number 6 was complied with, which was on the original. Number 6 was complied with. Number 9 was the temporary signage. Today they did get permit for 8 of the signs, and they need to go back upstairs and get permit for 2 more. Because there are 10 signs there and they need to get permit for 2 more, but they did come in to get the permit for the signage. But number 5 is still in violation as far as the cigars being there.
Okay.
And they are working on number 9.
All right. Does the board have any questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you. Is there anyone else present who wishes to testify in support of this revocation? If so, please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none, the board asks the conditional use permit holder to please come forward and be sworn in.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Would you state your name for the board, please?
My name is Abed Ahmed.
Please proceed, sir.
Thank you.
Tell us
Yes.
your side of the story.
All right. My name is Abed Ahmed. I'm the owner of Shark and Deli, 5400 Partridge Avenue. We just opened up May 2016. We just got license for everything, for the restaurant and for the convenience store, and we got everything approved. The inspection came, everything good. The building used to be Church Chicken. We bought the building in a community. We make it look good, everything good. We put a lot of money on it to make it right. And at the same time, when we got approved for everything, we opened, I got the license and everything, but that's the only issue we have, which is the tobacco projects and no lighting outside, and the permits, the temporary permits for the side outside. We already got everything together fixed, but that's the only issue we have. It's the tobacco products. We are in a high competition. We own 3 stores in that area. We have Miami Grill, San Luis Fish and Chicken, and Shark and Deli. We do want to do cigarettes from the beginning, but the situation we have for our business to success and do good, we have to sell them. For me personally, I'm not a smoker, I'm not a drinker, so I have no idea about this kind of stuff. But we have to sell them, which is the cigarettes and the tobacco products. We don't sell no glasses, we don't sell no tubes, I don't know what they call it. But all our customers, they came in, they said they ordering some food, they getting some drinks, they asking about cigarettes. When I tell them no cigarettes, they leave everything in the counter and leave. Because we have 2 stores close to us. They just leave the stuff in there and just walk across the street and get everything from there. And the problem is, like, we don't want to lose business because we put a lot of money in that area, you know, in that business too, in the same situation. Like, I do the best not to sell nothing illegal or something like that for drugs, nothing in there anyway. That's the only thing we need, just the swishers and the cigarettes.
Okay. So when you applied for the conditional use permit, these permits were issued with these conditions on them. You knew when you originally issued this permit they had this condition.
Right. And we have the support from the alderman, which is, his name is Chris Carter. We tell him about the situation. He said, do what about it? I'm going to walk to the city here, and he's going to fix everything for us. And I called him like a month ago, and he said, what's going on? He said, go ahead, just go ahead, sell it, and you already fixed, you got nothing to do with it. And we just found out this letter, we just received it, and that's what's going on here.
Okay. So let's hold that thought for just a minute. So your commentary about 5 is that you believe you have to sell those items, and you believe that the older person supports you selling those items. Let's put that on hold for 1 minute.
Okay.
Let's talk about item number 9, which is the other violation, which is the temporary signage. Okay, do you acknowledge that there's an issue with that?
What do you mean?
do you acknowledge what the zoning inspector has found, that there's an issue, that there are still a couple signs that need to have permits?
Right. We're gonna fix it together.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So do you agree that that's not a problem?
Absolutely, that's not a
That
problem.
you would be glad to work with us, the
Absolutely.
city, to get the proper signs in place?
Yes, sir.
So the big question is concerning number 5.
Exactly.
And so I guess that becomes really a legal question as to the way that the actual ordinance was written and whether or not there can be any kind of a variance with that, you know. So I don't know that this board can make that decision today on whether or not something along those lines can happen.
There could be a continuance to go to the Board of Adjustment and request that the condition be removed on 5 if they would like. I mean, if that's what the board would like to do, here, that's the recommendation. They can remove 5, the Board of Adjustment, under new conditions.
Let's do this. Let's talk about that in our deliberation a little bit. But before we go any further into that, I think the applicant or the conditional use permit holder, let me say, has made it clear they're willing to work with the city, but they have a difference of thought about number 5. But for number 9, they're more than willing to work
Exactly.
with us.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So is there anyone from the board who has any further questions for the conditional use permit holder? Okay. All right. Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, like I said, I will do the best to make everything right, to fix everything, and I'll work with you guys to make everything right for me too at the same time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Myra has something to say.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to say that I have been to this business a couple times, and unlike some of them that I have to represent here at the board, it's very clean. There is no loitering around the building. There is, I mean, the food, everything, it's all good.
Thank you.
But what I do see is across the street, just directly across the street. And I'm not saying this to sway the board, and I'm not saying this, I'm just saying it because it's a fact. Directly across the street, there is another restaurant, and they do sell these items. Now, I did look at, before I came, I did look at what they have. And even though it's directly across the street, they don't have the same. So I just wanted to share with this board that this gentleman, his business, no loitering, you don't see people hanging out, none of that. And I've been through there several times in order to do my report. So I just wanted to share that with the board, that he has a clean and above board business. And I am sorry that that condition is on there, because it does cost him business when somebody comes in and order and then they want to get the cigars, and if he says he doesn't have them, then they leave the food there and go across the street. So I think that he would be, in my opinion, unless he shows me something different, but right now I think that he would be okay with selling it, because he's just trying to have a straight up forward business.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks.
Does the board have any questions for the zoning inspector? Okay. If there's anyone else present opposing the revocation that wishes to testify, please come forward and be sworn in. Seeing none. Additional documents being introduced into evidence today. Item A, the zoning inspector's report submitted during today's hearing. The matter concerning hearing number 8196 is now closed and submitted. The board will move on and deliberate after its regular agenda. Call the roll, please.
Well, before we begin, could I introduce the Board of Public Service to Rasheen Aldridge?
Yes,
The fifth
absolutely.
board committeeman, an outstanding community activist and thoughtful young guy about town, and I ran into him in the hallway and asked where I was going, and I told him I was going to DPS, and he said he'd like to sit in and just check it out. So,
Welcome.
thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Director Scobie.
Here.
Director Rundy.
Here.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Roth.
Here.
Director Moore.
Here.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Here we have a quorum. I'll call the meeting orders.
Supplemental Agreement Number 1 to PSA Number 1147, installation of new 25 MGD raw water and 15 MGD finished water pumping units at the Chain of Rocks Water Treatment Plant. Supplemental Agreement Number 1 to PSA Number 1159, Construction Management of Taxiway Echo from S to P, removal of Taxiway Echo from runway 6 through 24 to S, and reconstruction of the North Apron Lima Pad, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Supplemental Agreement Number 3 to PSA Number 1178, Testing and Inspection of Materials for Various Construction Projects, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Supplemental Agreement Number 2 to PSA Number 1181, Civil, Structural, Surveying, and Geotechnical Design Services, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Contract and bond for letting number 8637, Liberal Arts Bridge and Muni Tributary Improvements in Forest Park. From the Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following permits for AT&T be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. Start at the rear of 1016 North 1st Street and an AT&T manhole saw cut. Remove and restore pavement, Commercial Street going north for a distance 395 feet crossing Carr. Place a new manhole on the north side of Carr in the entrance of alley. From new manhole at Carr, saw cut, remove and restore pavement going north for a distance of 455 feet in alley to an existing AT&T manhole in Biddle. Placing conduits in trench. Start at front of 926 Cass, a AT&T manhole and bore and place one fiber cable west 3 feet off edge of curb in the street for 981 feet crossing North Tucker Boulevard and placing a manhole at the intersection of Cass and North 13th, then turn south along North 13th 1 foot off edge of curb for 314 feet, turning east at the front of 1420 North 13th. Place a handhold in the sidewalk continuing east until customer property at 1420 North 13th. Bore and place a fiber from an existing handhold at the east and side of 4971 Oakland, 748 feet west on the north side of Oakland. This location is 367 feet west of 4971 Oakland. At this location, place a handhold and bore 62 feet south to the side of 4970 Oakland, St. Louis University High School. Starting at the side of 3863 Laclede in the street of Vandevender, AT&T to place a new copper cable from manhole 1041 across Vandevender to the alley between Laclede and West Pine. Then bore down the alley to the rear of 3919 Laclede. From McCree, bore 129 feet to a new 3 by 5 by 3 feet handhole. From this handhole, dig 1 feet to a new 4 by 4 pad with fiber box. From handhole at 4202, bore 75 feet to rise pole at rear of same address. From handhole, bore 2 fibers 327 feet to rise pole at 4172 Blaine. From handhole, bore 602 feet to rise pole at 4179 Blaine. From existing manhole near 3137 South Grand, bore 230 feet along Hartford to new 3 by 5 by 3 feet handhole at 3618 Hartford. From handhole at 3618, dig 1 feet to a new 4 by 4 pad with fiber box. From handhole, bore 1 fiber 18 feet to rise pole at 3618 Hartford. From handhole, bore 1 fiber 505 feet to new 2 by 3 by 2 feet handhole at 3161 South Grand. From handhole at 3161, bore 197 feet to rise pole at rear of same address. From handhole at 3361, bore 393 feet pole at 3540 Juanita. From existing handhole at 3137 South Grand, bore a total of 545 feet to a new 3 by 5 by 3 feet handhole at 3357 Gravois. From new 3 by 5 by 3 feet handhole, dig 1 feet to new 4 by 4 pad with fiber distribution box. From handhold bore 138 feet to rise pole at 3451 Cherokee. From pole at 3346 South Grand. Bore a total of 358 feet to rise pole at 3612 South Grand. From pole at 3501 South Grand. Bore 368 feet to rise pole at 3500 South Grand. Starting at manhole near 4916 Oletha, bore and place a new handhold at 4840 Oletha. From new handhold, dig 1 feet to new 4x4 concrete pad with fiber distribution box. Also from new handhold, bore fiber to multiple riser pole locations. Starting at manhole at Spring and Gravois, bore to new handhold at 3738 Gravois. From handhold, dig 1 feet to new concrete pad with fiber distribution box. Also, from handhold, bore to multiple riser pole locations. Start at existing AT&T handhold located on Shoto at the side of 1000 South 4th Street. From this handhold, we will bore east along Shoto for 40 feet, then turn and bore north across Shoto and down the alley for an additional 208 feet, ending at the rear of 904 South 4th. Recommendation that the following permits for charter communications be approved subject to certain conditions. To relocate fiber and coax cable starting in the alley behind 2607 Cass and ending at 2020 Malafi due to NGA site bill. Do a rework of underground fiber and coax for new hotel Cortex at 4245 Duncan. The rework will begin in front of 4235 Duncan under the sidewalk, placing a new vault, then going west, reworking fiber and coax ending at 4241 Duncan at South Ball. To provide services to 4440 Maryland, we'll need to do a 2-inch bore to place a duct and coax underground. Starting in the alleyway behind 4452 Maryland, on the north end of the alley, they'll start a 2-inch bore heading east, ending behind 4440 Maryland to equal 130 feet. Recommendation that the following permits be approved for Verizon Wireless as follows, subject to certain conditions. For placement of temporary mobile communication towers for overflow cellular communications during the annual balloon glow from August 1st, 2017 to September 22nd, 2017. And for placement of temporary mobile communication towers in Forest Park for overflow cellular communications during the annual Fair St. Louis event to be held June 15, 2017 to July 10, 2017. Recommendation that permit for Spectrum to install underground coax cable to a customer at 2350 South 7. Spectrum will cut a 2 feet deep by 2 feet by 2 feet hole at the base of pole number 96767 across the street from 2354 South 9th. They will bore in a eastbound direction in the right-of-way of Barton, crossing under South 7, stopping at pole number 77359 in the rear of 2350 South 7. The total length of this bore shot will be 286 feet. Recommendation that permit for Union Electric Company doing business as Ameren, Missouri, to install conduit and manhole on the east side of 39th at Vista. Conduit will be trenched in, and there will be 340 feet of total conduit. Recommends approval subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Utilities and Public Safety, joint recommendation that permit for Lucas V. Signorelli to subdivide land at 3333 through 35 Missouri in City Block 1523. Recommends approval subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Streets, recommendation that affidavit for petition number 6839 for Midtown Locust Properties LLC to vacate 50.36 feet of the 15-foot wide north-south alley in City Block 74 is bounded by Lombard, 3rd, Shoto, and 4th. Recommends approval. Recommendation that permit for Confluence Kombucha LLC to encroach with Sidewalk Cafe utilizing 210 square feet with liquor at 4507 Manchester. Recommends approval subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Safety, recommendation that the following festival zones be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. Talmadge Avenue Block Party, April 27, 2017 at Talmadge and Shoto, Dead End. Keener Plaza and 7th Street for ribbon cutting ceremony on May 19th and Family Festival on May 20th, 2017. Living Hands and Waters Boat Christening at Lenore K. Sullivan between Lucas and Eads Bridge on May 23rd, 2017, and St. Stephen's Parish Picnic, June 14, 2017, at 3949 Wilmington Churchyard and Streets. Now we have the conditional use.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Board President and members of the board. I'm Bob Gordy from the Building Division, and I'll be representing the Building Commissioner at today's hearing. Pursuant to Board Order Number 766, transmitted herewith are recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 5 applications. 7065 Sutherland, 4739 Goodfellow, 4981 Thrush, 6136 Delmar, and 2301 South Kings Highway, also known as 4930 Southwest. I request these recommendations be approved as submitted.
Are there any questions on the conditional uses? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
Move to approve the conditional use permits as recommended.
Second.
And moved and seconded for approval. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Roth.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Aye. Conditional uses are approved. I'd like to discuss hearing number 8196, which is Shark and Deli at 5400 Partridge. Just a little background testimony from the conditional use permit holder is that on item 5 there is a condition which does not allow them to sell a certain cigarillo, and they have an issue with that and have asked us to consider removing that condition for their permit. They've also stated that the zoning inspector stated that they were in violation of condition number 9 with a couple signs still needing permits, and the conditional use holder has graciously accepted to work with the city to get those accomplished. And there's also been testimony that from the zoning inspector that it's a very clean business, there's no loitering, there's no issues, and it also should be noted that the business across the street from the one in question is allowed to sell these type of cigars, and so it creates a hardship for the conditional use permit holder. So with that, I just want to open the floor up for discussion from the board, if anybody wants to add any comments to that.
So just so I'm clear, is the only option for the permit holder to remove that condition 5 to go before some board, or do we have authority to do it on our own motion?
It would have to be a hearing, I believe. Would have to give proper notice to the community if there was an issue with that. That's my concern with doing it today. That's the only thing I'm really concerned about. I'm not sure what you've done historically, though. That's what I would turn back to.
So my recommendation in this matter would be is that this is a situation where we believe that it's probably beyond the purview of this board. It would probably take some further legal discussion.
Right.
Probably would be a good idea to have Alderman Chris Carter weigh in as well and write a letter in.
He's no longer Alderman.
Change.
I'm sorry?
He's no longer the Alderman. Right.
So it would probably be a good, that's correct, thank you. It would probably be a good idea to have the new alderman write a letter in and weigh in on removal of this condition, so we have some requests for it. And then probably this board would vote not to revoke this conditional use and give 90 or 120 days to resolve this matter.
Okay.
Something along those lines there where we don't create a hardship for the conditional use holder.
So is that something we would do now, is vote to nod and give them time, or would we table it and wait for the alderman, or what is it that you...
I think we could do a couple of things. I think we could table it, but I think the idea of the board recognizes that it's an issue, and if we gave them, say, 90 days to get it resolved with the proper authorities, and then we could revisit it back in 90 days because we don't know what the actual result of it's going to be. So I think you could do it either way, but I think that would work.
Right, and there's also, as the signs are still waiting for condition number 9, we're still waiting to make sure that the permits get
That's
pulled on the
correct.
signs.
Exactly. So he still has to resolve the other issue with condition number 9. So if we gave him a time period, that would also click in with that as well, as opposed to tabling it. Good point. Other questions?
Not necessarily a question, but I have a comment.
Fine.
I'm in the health department, and I'm adamantly opposed against cigarette smoking. And what I would like to see as we move forward, because I don't want to see you out of business, because that's what we want. We want businesses in the community. But I think it's prudent upon this body to be looking at the health of our community.
Absolutely.
We should not be advocating for that. What we should be looking at is how do we help these other owners of these establishments remove their tobacco products, because it is a danger. It is a public health issue. The other comment I want to make too is that this past spring, just look on the other side of the winter, the mayor did pass, our former mayor did pass Tobacco 21, that no one under the age of 21 should be purchasing cigarettes. So I hope that you are enforcing that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Director. Other questions or comments from the board? Okay. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to not revoke the permit and to provide the permit holder 120 days to resolve the 2 outstanding issues, issue 5 relating to tobacco and issue 9 relating to temporary signs.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Roth.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Aye. Approved. And so I would recommend as you follow that course of action, and let's see where we can go with that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your help. Thank you so much. We'll get it right.
I'd like to turn the board's attention to our meeting minutes from our April 11th, 2017 meeting, which will be last Tuesday. Are there any questions or comments on the meeting minutes as presented? Seeing none, take a motion, please. Move to approve.
Second.
Second on the meeting minutes. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Roth.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Abstain.
And Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Today's agenda. Are there any questions or comments on the agenda?
2 corrections,
Okay.
both under the Director of Public Safety report. Under the festival zones, item 5, it should be 3949 Wilmington, not Washington.
Okay.
And the second correction is on the conditional use permits. There are 5 conditional use permits, but there's another indication saying that 7 were approved with conditions. It should say 5 approved with conditions.
Okay.
So,
With those corrections, I move to approve the agenda.
okay, have a motion to approve with corrections. Do you have a second? Second. Okay, can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy.
Aye.
Director Hayes is excused. Director Roth.
Aye.
Director Moore.
Aye.
Director Gray is excused, and President Bradley.
Aye, the agenda is approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.